Our next talk is going to be on the process of product development in mechanical engineering using open source software. With us is Aleksander Sadowski. He is going to give us an overview of his experience and some tips and techniques for those of us who develop open source hardware and open hardware mechanically in open source software. Please give a warm welcome to Aleksander.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. You pretty much nailed the nail on its head with that. Today I will show you how you can become a machine manufacturer using mostly open source software. Some are free but not open source, but it's, yeah, we will see. So this is mainly, or let me first introduce myself. Why is this talk even happening? So I was always very passionate about becoming a machine manufacturer, and that's why I started mechanical engineering in Germany. But what I have learned is that in university they usually don't teach you how to become a machine manufacturer, so I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own. While I was a student, I started developing a 3D printer with a heat chamber. This was like 2015, so this is like nearly 10 years ago. But when my CATIA V5 license expired, I wasn't able to open any of my files anymore, and that's when I learned about FreeCAD, and I started building my own products. And for example, a work holding fixture used for CNC milling machine, which I actually sold a couple pieces of. But when one of my clients asked me about patents and product safety and stuff like that, I got so scared away that I immediately stopped selling the product, and I had to go back to the drawing board and think about, okay, what about these topics? I need to learn more about those. And I started working at a major German machine manufacturer, which is called Grope. They have like turnover of 2 billion euros. They are very huge. They do production lines for electric motors and stuff. And after there, I learned everything I needed to know. It was kind of an opportunity which presented itself, and it was a little bit of luck that I actually learned stuff that I wanted to learn there. And right now, I'm helping others become machine manufacturers, and that's why I created this guide. This is obviously not a guide that you can just read. This is just a presentation, but hopefully you can learn something, and if you will have questions after the talk, you can always ask me. So who is this for? It's for manufacturing startups, which usually struggle with finances, and by using open source software, they can lower their financial risk a lot. Also, throughout this guide, they will learn how to deal with patents and product safety. This is also for established machine manufacturers, which I already, with my company, work together with. And they don't use open source software throughout the whole product development cycle, but they can still implement open source software at individual steps. And also, this is for the FreeCAD community, which I'm mostly active in, to showcase FreeCAD in context with other software, so that people can actually understand what goes into FreeCAD and what goes out of it. So I'm very excited to show you how this all works. Here's just a quick overview. We will be first taking a look at requirements, then we will be taking a look at patents, at determining what product concept to choose, at preliminary design, detailed design, and the product lifecycle management. So first of all, you first define your requirements of your product based on marketing research and put them into a table. This is a LibreOffice Calc table which you can easily create. and it usually has the column headers, number, requirement type, and person in charge. Then using those requirements, you can do a patent search using the sparsenet.com, where you can have access to 150 million patent documents, and your first goal is to reduce those 150 million patent documents to 200 results by just looking at patents that are older than 20 years. This way you don't have to keep in mind all the patent infringement and stuff like that. And using those 200, you can then narrow them down even more by clicking like this store button in every patent, and then using that you can hopefully narrow down the 150 million to just 20 patents, because the reason why you do this is you have to read all of them, and you cannot read 150 million documents. So the goal is to get to 20. I cannot describe this process in full detail, but yeah, it's about forming the query that you need. Then the 20 patent documents that you get out of that, you put them in a table with the document link, title, IPC, CPC. These are classes for documents. Representative drawing, so you can easily have an overview of all your patent documents. And usually you should also put there a first claim or all independent claims of the patent. You can all do all of this in LibreOffice Calc, and on the right side you can see how this could look like. Then using all of these patent documents that you've acquired, you create different variations of your new product that you are developing, and you create also a table where you combine different patents, and then later on you determine which one creates the best solution. After you have selected what patent documents you will be using for your new product, you create some kind of product concept, and you can do that easily in LibreOffice Impress, or mostly you will just do a hand drawing, which is enough for that step. Then with your product concept, what you have to do is you have to look into product safety. This is also a topic that I learned while working at the machine manufacturer. And in product safety, you go through the whole product life cycle of a product and see where dangers arise and what measures you have to take into account to lower the risk to a acceptable level. And this is called the risk assessment. You can do this risk assessment also in LibreOffice, and how to do such a risk assessment is defined in ISO 12100, and yeah, this can be done in LibreOffice Calc with all the information that you have acquired. You can do some preliminary design on your new products, which will also be done inside of LibreOffice Calc. And as you can see, you can do a lot of stuff also on paper. And what I usually like to do is create hand drawings and put them as images into LibreOffice Calc, and then do my calculations there for forces, temperatures, dimensions, tolerances, and stuff like that. So when you have done your preliminary design, you can then move on to detailed design, which usually involves creating your 3D CAD model, creating your technical drawing, and exporting the STEP, DXF, PDF, whatever files are necessary to produce your final product. And obviously I've used FreeCAD here. I'm very involved with FreeCAD. We are pushing it in the industry, and that's an obvious choice for me. Some things that cannot be calculated in the preliminary design step because the geometry may be too complicated. So for that you would do a FEM simulation in PrePoMax. PrePoMax is very similar to Abacus, if you know about that. And yeah, how you do a FEM simulation is you import the step file that you exported from FreeCAD, define your boundary conditions, mesh the geometry, and solve your case study. This is done with PrePoMax from Mate. Then arises the question, how do you manage all of that? And one solution is to just create a bunch of folders where you put in all your stuff, and on top of that you can also use a SVN solution for versioning. You can create servers and make collaboration easier this way. And here I have used Visual SVN and Tortoise SVN as the open source software. Alternative, use Google Drive if you don't care about your files to be leaked. I mean, I'm not saying this is a negative thing. If you actually have files that you don't care about, if they get leaked, use Google Drive. It's very easy to use. Yeah, and then in order to not do all of this stuff with the folders and managing users and having all of these headaches, you can resort to a PLM solution, which does many of these things. And we are actually developing an open source PLM solution which will be compatible with FreeCAD. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah.
Question?
Yeah, so really interesting to see patents being used actually to extract information rather than as a weapon against other companies. How do you feel in general is this a sustainable source of this kind of information, or are modern patents basically useless?
Patents are very misunderstood by makers, I think. I personally also have a patent. And what you said is that if patents always have to be a source as a weapon, used as a weapon, and I say no, and mostly they are not used as a weapon. From my experience, large companies are actually open for others to create their own patents, and there are ways which you can easily create patents on your own with little financial costs. And patents are a great source of very specific information. And once you learn how to deal with them, they are not scary anymore.
So you already have brought at least one machine really into the market with your own process?
I have got a patent for a safety screw, which we are trying to manufacture, but with my company we do this stuff at other companies, so we help them implement this whole process.
Okay. So do you have sort of a GitHub repository or a blog post about this process and which tool you're using? Like basically a written form of what you just explained?
What part of it?
Like the process in general. So let's say a step-by-step guide for an idiot like me to just take that and then go through it. Or is maybe I understand it correctly that this is your consultant business then? Or?
Yeah. So what you're asking is if there's more information on this whole process, right? Yeah. So we have published a lot of stuff about it. We are publishing a lot of case studies on LinkedIn and Twitter mainly. And that you can find more information, but we have also planned to release a book on exactly this topic because there are so many steps involved. I obviously cannot present to you all this stuff in just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
I was wondering, the examples you've shown are for pretty simple devices. Does this workflow change in any way when you deal with larger assemblies?
So you were talking about this or this one?
Right.
I mean, these are just examples. You can do this, like for example, in FreeCAD, there are specific ways that you would create small projects and you would create bigger projects in different ways. So there are differences, but yeah, if you want to learn more, we can talk about this.
I had another question about the patents. So if I understood you correctly, by using old patents, you gain some safety against patent infringement, but you also said you could combine several old patents. And then I'm wondering if you don't create a risk, because then you're creating something new when you're combining several things, although each thing is an old thing.
Okay, so what you're asking is if there is any risk in combining multiple patents which are not which are not active anymore. Yeah, there is some risk. Obviously, there's always risk. When you're in business, there's always risk, but this risk is so low, and also what many people misunderstand, like especially the makers, even if you infringe on a patent, the company which holds the patent will usually just want some money from you, which you have. If you don't earn any money, you usually don't have to pay anything, usually. And this risk of you just having to pay a lot of money because of nothing is nearly zero.
Any more questions? Give it back to Seth.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.